So, COVID-19 best business practices. I'm new to the group. I'm a locker room coach. I coach brokers specifically at the locker room, and I'm from Syracuse, New York. So at the end of my slideshow, there's a bunch of information on how to contact me. I'm happy to be a part of this group, and I hope that everybody's getting the most out of today so far. So I know I've gotten a lot out of each presentation that I've attended, and hopefully that this will fill your cup a little bit. So that's my goal here. So COVID-19, new best business practices, leadership edition, right? The secret of leadership is simple. Do what you believe in. Paint a picture of the future and go there. So for myself, when COVID-19 came into the picture, I thought people will still need to move, and there's got to be a way for us to move forward through this, right? So what does that look like? So immediately I started to paint a picture for myself and for the agents who I coach and the brokers that I coach. What does this look like? How can we stay healthy and still financially stable, right? And there are people who will have to sell houses, and how do we do that? So, so I put this together. And so, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Communication is the key. So we all have agents who rely on us, right? And I've heard numerous times over and over and over again that we are in uncertain times right now. And the truth is that we are always in uncertain times. And we might not like to remember that, you know, but it's true. Nobody really knows what tomorrow holds. And so we need to continue to move forward. And as a leader in the industry, whether you're an agent who's still producing or whether you're a broker who has agents underneath you who are relying on you, you still need to act in a way that is professional and moving forward so that you can give hope to the future. Because COVID-19 or not, nobody knows what tomorrow holds. And so every day is actually uncertain. So even though we're in uncertain times right now, we need to adapt, adjust, and pivot, right? So how do we do that? I've seen several brokers and agents who are going to virtual tours. There are all different types of disclosures out there, and every state is different. And so I'm not going to speak to, I'm in New York State, and we might be a little bit over the top here, but I'm not going to speak state by state by state, right? But in general, there are practices that we can take to keep our agents safe and to keep our clients safe. And more importantly, I think, is just to remain calm and be that beacon of light for the people who are observing you and watching you and relying on you. So whether that's your agents or your clients, either way, it's important. So what can we do? We need to seek credible information. Right now, the world is on social media. I think nobody can deny that, right? So everyone's on social media more now than ever. And because of that, there's a lot of rumor out there and everybody's opinion is being thrown out, and we need to seek information that's credible. So whether it's from NAR, the World Health Organization, your state legislation, you need to be sure that whatever information you're putting out is credible information and it's not opinion-based, right? So your agents rely on that professionalism. And if you're an agent, then your clients rely on that professionalism. So try not to fall into the, what's the word I'm looking for? The way that the media portrays things and just dramatizes everything, right? You don't want to fall into that, and you definitely don't want to be spreading it. You want to be calm, you want to be reliable, and you want to be that source of hope for people that real estate is going to continue, COVID-19 or not, and here's what we're going to do about it. So you need to also, if you can, refer back to your own experience. I am lucky enough that I wasn't in this industry for 2008, the crash of 2008, right? But I know that several of us were, and I happened to get into real estate just after that. But my mentors all experienced, and I learned from the best because of that. So if you have experienced a crash in the market or some kind of other traumatic influence on the real estate market that you've made it out of, sharing that experience with the agents and with your clients makes a world of difference. They're immediately at ease because they know that they're working with someone who's been through something like this before. So whether or not it's a pandemic, if it's affected the real estate market, take a look at what you've been through, and how it could relate to today. And rely heavily, heavily on the systems that you have in place. So all of us as brokers and agents dump money into things that we probably aren't utilizing the best that we can. So I will say that I'm the first one to admit that there are several CRMs, all different types of websites. I mean, every kind of thing that I've spent money on in the past that I haven't maybe been fully present in. So if you have systems in place that you're not relying on and that you're not using, and your agents aren't using them either, use them, because now is the time to get to know your CRM, your website, BrokerMate, or any kind of thing like that that you're using. Call your coach. I mean, if we're all in Club Wealth coaching or locker room coaching, whatever you're in, call your coach, ask them about systems. Now is the time to rely heavily on systems, because when everything else fails, your systems are propelling you forward. Be present. This is number one. When people start to panic and they get into panic mode, especially real estate agents, because everybody knows things go up in flames all of the time, right? We're constantly putting out fires left and right. If you're present with your agents or with your clients, that is number one. They need to know that you're there, because if you're not and something happens, they're going to worry about you twofold, because there's a pandemic and they don't know if you're okay, right? So being present and accessible is number one. It's not always possible, and I understand. I have an office here. We're open. I know that it's not always possible to be in your office all of the time, because it's just not. Our kids are all home all of the time. Some spouses are out of work. Some people are getting sick. So that's okay, but to be accessible via cell phone, Zoom, FaceTime, whatever it is that works for you, making sure that you're accessible is really important. So available through any of these avenues, right? If you have time to do one-on-ones with your agents or with your clients, you can time block with your calendar. I'm going to spend 10 minutes, I'm going to spend an hour. I'm going to make 6 10-minute phone calls first thing in the morning just to check in on my people. That's all you need to do. Then they know you're there. They're not worried. They're starting their day off in a calm, positive manner. It's just like I said, being that beacon of steadiness and hope, right? We're moving forward. I have this person who's reliable, who's available, who's there for me. That's all they need to know, whether you're a broker or whether you're an agent and you're dealing with your clients. Just be there, be visible. And the other thing is, if you're dealing with someone who's being really struck by COVID-19, like maybe they have been sick or their family members have been sick, God forbid they know somebody who has passed, it's recognizing the situation. So we can't downplay what's happening. You can be visible without pretending that nothing is wrong, right? So it's managing the emotions of the situation, recognizing that some people are feeling isolated, some people are feeling sick, some people have lost someone that they love, and so it can be scary and it can be stressful. And while real estate is moving forward, and it's our responsibility in this industry to continue to move it forward and with hope and remain positive, we also need to recognize that there are emotions involved in the situation, and that we can box those emotions if we can, right? And overcome them with logic. So listening to your people, listening to their fears, their concerns, and their needs, and then just addressing them with simple logic, which is probably what got you to the position you're in to begin with. It just brings them right out of the whirlwind, lets them know that you're here. So when it comes to leadership, and I've read a lot of books and I like to put a bunch of different notes together, but when it comes to leadership, there are 3 things that can be highly distracting. So whether you're a leader amongst agents and you're leading by example in our industry, or you're leading your clients, or you're a broker who's leading your agents, any of these things can happen to you. The 3 largest distractions are wandering minds, right? We think about what could be happening instead of focusing on what is happening. And this happens because most of us are big thinkers, and this is a good thing, but we need to keep it in check. So the next thing is negative thinking, feeling as if everything that could go wrong is going wrong. Like, oh my gosh, COVID-19 is happening. All of my agents stopped producing. Nobody, I have 5 buyers. There's only 1 house on the market. What are we going to do? You get into this whirlwind of negative thinking, and it's because what's happening in the world is out of your control. But we have to remember that we can control how we react and respond to things. And so the third distraction for leaders is uncertain anxiety. So the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown can take over the negative thinking and our wandering minds, right? Because we don't have answers for what's going to happen next. But we have to keep in check, like I said previously, we're always in uncertain times, right? There will always be an unknown. And so if we can keep that in check and just remember that we've come this far, so far, and that we're going to keep going, we can overcome all of this. So how do we overcome? How can we stay away from these distractions? We have to stay on track. So staying on track involves keeping a schedule. If you don't have a calendar, you need to get one. I think that everybody by now is using their calendars on their phones. I would like to think so. If you're not, I highly suggest it. So staying on track with your schedule, right? I say this all of the time. It's like you have to schedule a dentist appointment 6 months in advance. If you cancel that dentist appointment, what happens? You don't get to see the dentist for another 6 months. So anything that's in your calendar, as far as it goes, as far as work-related things, and actually anything personal too, if it's in your calendar, stick to it. Treat it like a dentist appointment. Like if you miss it, you can't go back for another 6 months, so you better show up, right? If you're treating your calendar like that, you will stay in production, your business will grow, you won't have any issues, right? But you have to stay on track. You have to set a schedule and you have to follow it. So involved in that schedule is including time for your thoughts. We all have a lot of different thoughts happening right now. That is normal. We are in a pandemic. Most of us have never experienced this before. And so writing, praying, meditating, exercising, even if you're just taking an extra 15 minutes in the shower, right? Whatever it is, wherever you think, schedule time for your thoughts and just respect the way you're thinking. You've got to process things. If you're not processing things, you're going to burn out. So prioritize and focus. You want to keep meetings short, okay? Right now, we're not in a time and place yet where we really can have meetings in the office that are lasting an hour or longer every week, right? We want to be short, concise, to the point, and let people move on with their lives. We want to prioritize what's happening on our calendars. And we need to be assertive. How do you stay out of the whirlwind? Say no more often. Okay, so if you are wondering, is this listing appointment really going to get me as much money as I need to make this month, or should I be focused on a higher price point, or following up with those people from the open house that I met, or whatever it is? You need to be able to prioritize things that are on your plate and say no to the things that aren't serving you, okay? Be more conscious about managing your time and priorities. Concentrate on only the major things. Okay, this is redundant. Focus on staying positive. This is very important. There are people right now who are caught up in the negativity of the situation. Eliminate the toxic people from your lives. It doesn't matter if you're a broker, if you are an agent, if you're a client, if you're a coach. Eliminate the toxic people. Negativity breeds negativity. So in order to overcome and move forward in a situation like a pandemic, you have to stay positive. I'm talking about you can be safe and take precautions and be smart and still be positive. You don't need extra negativity right now when something that's out of your control, that's happening to the whole entire world, is completely negative. You don't need anything else that's negative, am I right? So you gotta stay positive. Focus on the positive people in your life, the positive things that are breeding positivity. So whether that's spending an extra 5 minutes in the morning to watch videos that make you laugh, to listen to a podcast that's going to fill your cup, to read a book that you know will keep you in a positive mindset. You've got to stay positive. And then consistently thinking the positive thoughts throughout the day. This will help you to be the best leader you can be. Okay, so uncertain times build character. So it's important to remember that we are not made in a crisis, we are revealed. So what does that mean? Just like a successful football coach or a coach of any team is able to make adjustments at halftime, we are leaders and we can adapt anytime that there's an uncertain moment, right? So we need to be able to come up with proactive solutions that create forward momentum. So what does that look like? Anytime there's an adversity, we can always turn that into an advantage. Okay, so we are shut down for 2 months because of a pandemic. What are we going to do? Well, you could take this opportunity to learn. Maybe if you have a salesperson's license, you can bump up to the next step and get your broker's license, become an associate broker. Maybe there's a certain certification that you're really longing for and that you've been looking at for a long time. Do it. Now's the time. You've got the time, right? It's always being learning based and learning how to take the disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. And if you're a leader, if you're a broker, chances are you're in this position because you have the natural ability to do this. So don't be afraid to share this with your agents, okay? Anything that you're doing that's protecting your mindset, that's growing you, don't be afraid to throw it up on your Facebook group and say, hey guys, I'm gonna take this class today. What are you doing to grow yourselves? Remember, the agents are watching you. They're with you for a reason, they're looking up to you. And if you're an agent, your clients chose you for a reason as well. And so anything that you're doing, like I said, to grow yourself positive, share that because people are watching and you don't know who's watching you and who you're affecting. So be learning based, take the adversity, turning it into an advantage is key. Challenge yourself, challenge the agents around you. Even if you're an agent, you don't have to be a broker to do this. You can say, hey guys, I'm going to take a class on virtual tours. Who wants to join me? Let's do it over Zoom at noon tomorrow. You know, you can invite people into your world. So be always communicating with other agents and other brokers to learn from each other. This is the time to do that because we're all in the same boat. And for once in our industry, while we're all still in competition with each other, we all still really want what's best for each other, and we're faced with the same exact challenge internationally. So staying focused on the bigger picture, the fact that we help people move. We're moving people from one chapter of their lives to the next chapter of their lives. We're the vehicle for that. Everybody in our industry does that. So if we can come together and just focus on the bigger picture, this is what we're doing, and we need to be able to stay positive and move forward, help each other with that, learn from each other. If you can stay focused on that bigger picture, you will not get caught up in the whirlwind. I can guarantee it. Because even if you don't have any business coming in, if you're looking at the bigger picture, you're going to start to pour into other agents, and that's going to feel really good. And then before you know it, you're going to be back in business, right? So it's being focused on why you're doing what you're doing and making sure that you continue to do it. And hold yourself and others accountable. I'm huge on accountability. Everybody who knows me knows that. So if you have some sort of tracking system at your brokerage, at your office, at your coaching company, something that keeps track of how many contacts are you making? Guess what? Everybody's home and nobody's working for 2 months. Well, what can we be doing? We can call it. We can call our whole entire sphere of influence, right? How many contacts are we making? Out of those contacts, who's thinking of moving? Well, how do you know if you don't ask? You've got to keep track of who you're talking to. What are you talking about, right? How many listing presentations are you going on? How many buyers are you actually taking out right now? Are you doing it safely? You have to have a way to track your numbers, follow your conversion rates, and figure it all out, right? So you got to rely on your broker or your coach to help you with that. And hold yourself and the agents around you who you care about, hold them accountable. The important thing, like I said, the most important thing is to remain visible. So there's 3 things that I want to talk about at this topic. Showing up early, showing up with clarity, and showing up with hope. So showing up early. Several people will think that I'm talking about showing up 5 to 10 minutes before your planned arrival time. But that's not what I'm talking about. Showing up early, it means being aware. Okay, so people who show up 5 minutes early, they've got it in their calendar, they're aware of what's happening. And so they know that they're going to show up, so they show up early. Well, showing up early in life, it doesn't mean early as far as the clock is concerned. It means being aware of the situation, right? Communicating from a position of awareness. You're clear, you're honest, you have open communication, you're building trust with people. Okay, so you're ahead of the situation when you've done that. So in that way, you're early. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say show up early. It's building that trust, understanding what's being anticipated and what's expected of you. Having other people understand what's expected of them, right? It's the awareness. You're showing up early in life, not just by the clock. Showing up with clarity. Clarity means knowing the direction in which you want to move. Okay, so clarity is power. You've all heard it. I've heard it. We've all heard it. Clarity is power. Provide up-to-date information. Provide resources and direction. Okay, so you are providing clarity to the people who you're around. Whether you're a broker and providing clarity to your agents, or whether you're an agent providing clarity to your clients, clarity is so important. People are around you because they need clarity that you can provide. So show up early. You've got the awareness. Be clear, okay? Know what direction you're going. And then show up with hope. Guys, hope is the most important thing. Showing up with hope means that you have faith that together with your team, whether it's your clients, your agents, the other brokers you're working with, the other people in your MLS, right? We can all make things better together, okay? Hope is active. It doesn't mean you're standing by, you're passively waiting for things to get better. You kind of think they'll probably improve if you pray hard enough. Like, God, we all should be doing that, but also hope is active. Hope is taking one small step toward helping another broker, another agent, another client, right? You're taking that act of kindness and bringing people together. And one tiny act of kindness can give hope that lasts for days. And in this period of time, when we're in a world pandemic, hope is the strongest thing we've got, right? And if you can act out of hope and you have clarity and you're showing up early when it comes to terms of how you're doing your career, you're gonna have it going on. Like, you're gonna move forward. There's nothing else. So, some fun ideas if you're a broker. And also if you're an agent, but I did write this for the brokers. Okay, so to make the most out of the situation, branded masks. We are seeing them everywhere in New York. I don't know how other states are doing it. I will say that the branded masks are a big hit. You can give them to your clients when you're showing houses. Brokers can give them to their agents. It's cheap enough, and it's a cool way to get your logo out there. Branded masks. Booties, sanitizer, you can brand it all. Okay, so you can print out stickers that you get at Staples, right? The printable labels from Staples. Put your logo, your name, and your phone number on them, and then slap them to a small bottle of hand sanitizer and hand them out if you're holding an open house. It's that simple. You're making the most out of the situation. Okay, if you're a broker, and you know what, even if you're an agent, you could present a work from home challenge. You can invite the other agents in your market area to a challenge and say, okay, let's say we're all gonna work from home. COVID is making a comeback, God forbid, I hope it doesn't, but let's just say, and everybody has to work from home. What are we gonna do? The Locker Room offers one. I know several other coaching companies also offer these. The work from home challenge, right? So you get 10 points for every single activity that you do, and the person with the most points is the winner, and you get a week to complete these, right? So it's like writing Yelp reviews for small businesses, writing reviews for other agents, reaching out to your sphere of influence, reading a self-help book, all of these things that will grow you as a person and give to the community and provide hope. These are all really, really great activities that you can do together in a challenge. It's really a lot of fun. So we've done them at my brokerage. They're great. We have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group for the agents at our office. And what we do is challenge each other probably on a monthly basis. And so the agents are posting the things that they're doing, and they feed into each other, right? So like, oh my gosh, well, she's reading this book, now I've got to read this book. We recently discovered the House Party app, and one of our agents did this really cool thing where she invited her entire neighborhood to download the app. So now she's the expert in the neighborhood. They're all on this House Party app, and they're playing cards together and all of these fun games as a neighborhood. And then at the end of it, she's like, hey, you guys, don't forget I'm in real estate. You know, so it's just like a really cool competitive thing to do, which is a fun competition. You can make the most of the situation if you really want to. And so it's our job to keep positive, right? And I believe that all of you can, because you're all here. You've spent the time and money to be here. So staying positive is the key. Script and role play competitions. This is another thing. This is for agent, agent to agent. The brokers in your area can compete against each other. The agents in your office can compete against each other. Script and role play competitions will speak for themselves, because the agents who are participating in those are going to get more listings and honestly more business, right? So, and then don't forget about the kids, right? So your clients all have children, some of them, and also the agents in the office have children too, and they're all home, and they've all been home since March. And so it's like, doing something fun for the kids can help. So whether it's printed coloring pages with your logo on it, or something about surviving COVID with your logo, something for them to color, some kind of fun activity for them, whether it's a maze, right, or a word search, something that they can participate in as well, goes over really well with the adults who are in your life. So let's talk about working from home. We're going to talk a little bit about time blocking, because it's really, really important. And the reason that it's important, and I'll go over this at more length, is that we're spending more time currently taking extra steps to get results that took less time last year. So we're spending more time to make the same amount of money. And so it's important to remember that if you're not time blocking appropriately, that you can kind of lose track of what you're doing. You can really lose track of time, right? So before you know it, 2 listing presentations that maybe took you an hour and a half last year, now they're taking 3 to 4 hours, and you lost 2 to 3 hours of your time, and you don't even know how. And before you know it, the day's over, and your kids are like, you didn't swim with me, or whatever it is, and you're like, I'm sorry, the day's gone, I don't know what happened, right? If you're not time blocking, you can totally lose your day. So it's really, really important to keep track of your calendar and keep track of your schedule. So if you don't have a paper planner, that's okay. I'm a big fan of them. I'm guilty of going back and forth. I use my phone, I have a Gmail calendar, I have my Apple calendar, and I have a paper planner, and I have dry erase calendars all over my house, because the thing is that if you're not time blocking, you're going to lose time for those big rocks. And I don't know how many of you have seen the TED Talk with the big rocks and the small rocks and the pebbles. If you haven't seen it, look it up. We don't have time to play it for you here today, but essentially, if you have 2 jars and you put big rocks and then small rocks and then tiny rocks and then pebbles in, but you put the big rocks in first, every single stone will fit in the jar. But if you put the sand in and then the small rocks and then the medium rocks, there's no room for the big rocks. So it's the same size jar, it's the same size rocks, it's just how you put them in. And so we want to make sure that we're time blocking for the big rocks. You put the big rocks in first. And the big rocks are things like dentist appointments, family time, vacations, things that are important that will affect your life if you don't do them, okay? So if you have children or family members that you need to really take time with, those are big rocks, okay? Next is your career, okay? So your family and your health is first, your career is next, okay? So what do you need to be doing? Right now, what we're seeing, what I'm seeing mostly nationwide is that it's a strong seller's market. Listings are king, okay? So if you can get listings, it's much easier to be a listing agent than a buyer's agent at the moment. So focusing on your business, how are you going to get listings, right? You need to put the big rocks first. You can probably pay Zillow for lots of different leads for buyers, which can be frustrating and much more difficult in this market, or you can work on how to obtain listings. That's a big rock, right? So you want to make sure you're time blocking for things that matter, for things that will make a difference in your life. So what does this look like? I need to know, well, I don't need to know. You need to reflect upon, do you have a morning routine? Do you have an evening routine? And are you keeping a calendar during the day? And then take a minute to reflect upon, is your morning routine different now than it was before COVID? Is your evening routine different now? And is your daily routine different now? And how is it different? So if you haven't thought about that, think about it for a minute, write it down, and then we'll move on. This is a sample of my calendar. So I have 4 children, and so I keep track of everything. So I'm going to share this with you. I hope you can see the color scheme. Anything that's green makes me money. If you look really closely, you'll see that first thing in the morning, I read. And you might think, how does reading make you money? It's really simple. Reading clears my mind. It sets me on track for the whole rest of the day. If I don't read, I feel like I'm scrambled all day long. So the first thing I do every morning is read. I have to. It does make me money, because if I don't clear my mind first thing, then I won't do the things that will actually make me money. So reading is green. It's green for money, okay? And then everything else in here that's green, these are appointments that I am either coaching somebody, whether it's a broker, an agent, whether I'm going on a listing appointment. I mean, they're all in here. Green. Okay. Red is flexible. Like sometimes I need to eat breakfast, sometimes I don't. I'm just kidding. But I have to always feed my kids breakfast. And then purple, blue, yellow, and pink are all my children's schedules. Okay. So this is just what my Google Calendar looks like. I put it all in here. You can click on the color scheme if you need to take one away or add it so that you can focus on what's important, right? So it's really, really important if you're managing or balancing more than one schedule, meaning your schedule as well as your kids who are home now, as well as possibly your spouse who's home now as well, they need to have access to those calendars. They need to have access to their schedules so that they can also time block. And you need to keep track, because if you don't keep track, you're going to get caught in the whirlwind. And this is one easy way to just maintain some consistency. So why does this matter? I've spent a lot of time talking about it. It matters because the coronavirus is presenting issues, like I said, that take more time. So in 2019, this is just an example, we had a few steps when we're working with buyers. There are extra steps here working with buyers in 2020. So we're taking more time to get the same result. And because of that, we need to time block appropriately. Some buyer strategies. Use showing time. Use showing time. If you're using showing time or some other appointment service, this is important because you can make sure there's no overlapping showings. You can ensure your buyers that you're taking precautions, that the house is hopefully free and clear of any other people that could be in there. Hopefully the sellers have had time to clean. If it's vacant, you don't have to worry about that. And also in showing time and several other appointment services, you can enter questions, right? So several states are requiring answer questions about COVID, meaning, do you have a fever? Have you been out of the country? Have you been out of the state, et cetera, et cetera. So you can answer those questions through these appointment services. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. So use an appointment service if you can. Protect yourself and those around you. Okay, now I'm not going to get on a soapbox about booties and gloves and masks. It's the respectful thing to do. You don't want to spread your germs, so do it. Okay, don't put people in your car. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but I do know that it happens sometimes. And especially during a pandemic, it may not be the wisest thing to do. It's definitely a safety concern already, aside from the pandemic. But now that we're in COVID-19, it's just an extra precaution. I wouldn't suggest it. And then make offers contingent upon viewing the home in person. Okay, so this is what we're seeing in our New York market, that it's multiple offers quite a bit. And people are making offers sight unseen, and they're contingent upon seeing the house in person. It's just a thought. Same thing with sellers. We're doing the same thing. We're taking more time to get the same result. So this is why time blocking is important. Okay, so some strategies that you can use with sellers. We need to be able to use showing time or an appointment service, like I had said. Utilizing YouTube is very, very important. The way that I utilize YouTube is that I will take videos, and I encourage every agent that I talk to do this. Take a 10-second video of the kitchen. Take another 10-second video of the bedrooms. Take another 10-second video of the exterior, the bathrooms, the basement, etc. Because several of us have gone through listing presentation classes where you say to the buyer, what are the 3 most important things about the house? I'm sorry, buyer presentation, not listing. And the buyer will say to you, well, it has to have an open kitchen, I have to have a master bathroom, and the basement has to be finished. So you go into the house, those are the first 3 things you're looking at. If those 3 things don't meet your requirement, you're out of there, right? So these buyers these days now can go on YouTube and check it out just like that, except on YouTube. So if you're doing versus a 5-minute video tour of the whole house, if you're just doing 10-second clips of each room, then the buyer can just get right to the important parts. And so I suggest telling your seller that that's a strategy that you'll use. It eliminates the looky-loos and the tire kickers, okay? You want to hire a photographer, take video footage if you can, hold open houses virtually. You can use MailChimp or several other landing page sources, Eventbrite and things like that, so that you can have a virtual open house. Put your landing page out there in social media first, and then collect leads from that. So you're still getting leads from your open house, even though it's virtual, and you're doing it safely. And social media is your friend. I know everybody's on social media. Use it to the best of your ability. Market your listings. Do live Q&A sessions about your listings. Don't be afraid to come up with something new either. Let's see what else we have here. Like I said, we're taking more time to achieve the same goal. So leveraging our time, the 3D tours. We've all heard of Matterport. If you haven't heard of Matterport, check it out. They're probably the best 3D 4D camera. There are several other 3D cameras that are less expensive that you can use now, but you basically click on the arrow and it walks you through so that it seems like you're in the house. So 3D tours are cool. Like I said, using YouTube, you can see here these listings. This one has 16 videos. This one has 14 videos. This one has 9 videos. These are videos of each separate room, like I had said. Okay, so we are an essential business. This does not excuse us from decency, right? The health and safety of your clients are what needs to motivate you. So again, thinking of the bigger picture, we are big picture thinkers here. We are leaders in our industry. We need to make sure that the health and safety is what we're thinking of first. Okay, so several states have issued exit clauses and COVID disclosures. Don't be surprised if you haven't seen them yet, if you start to see them. There is a delicate balance between member safety and public safety and our ability to provide services for our clients. Can we go inside houses without masks, show them like COVID isn't happening? Sure, of course we can. And each state is different, like I said, but you need to make sure that you're familiar with your state's CDC recommendations, right? So what is being recommended in your state? Just make sure that you know and that you're following it in the most professional way that you can. Ethics, 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 right? We want to make sure that we're really being ethical. And just remember, so all of this can be stressful, but to remember that, thank goodness this is happening now. We're in 2020. We're in real estate in 2020. We have a lot of technology to support our leadership. We have so much technology to support our industry. And so we're really actually lucky that we're in this career at this time because we can move forward, right? Nothing is halting us to a stop. People will still need to move and we can still help them, and we have the technology to do that. So staying positive, if you don't know what technology to use, reach out for help. There are so many of us. There are so many of us. There has to be someone who can help you. And just don't forget that. Don't be afraid to ask, right? And so even though our job is a little bit harder, it's not impossible, and it's just important to remember that. This is not impossible, guys. We can still move forward. And so stay safe out there. We know what we need to do. Our jobs actually haven't changed that much, right? We need to lead generate. We need to follow up, and we need to set on and go on appointments, negotiate our contracts, script and role play daily. All the activities are still the same. It's just taking those extra precautions when we're doing them. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. My phone number is at the bottom of the screen. My email is kristen@tlrnation.com. Stay safe, wash your hands. I hope everybody has a great afternoon and that you enjoy the rest of this conference. Thanks, Georgina. And I think, are we good on time? Should I end this now? Is that what we should do?